So the computer is right there, I guess. You're definitely friends now. Guys, because the number 9. Nice. Adjust the slider until you stop adjusting the slider. That one's tricky for sure. Where's blue is the most appealing to you? An uncle Scrumtish. I'll give you Benoinkle is. Please don't adjust the slider. You got it. Time is right now. Yes. Is the time that is right now the correct time? Also, yes. Time is it? Anyway, no. You haven't told me. Nope. You know literally everything. Help. Yes. Yeah. Alright, here we go. That's cool. You're playing the game before you're even playing the game. Alright. Part 4, here we go. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope you've seen the other videos. These have been quite entertaining. We'll have this play this time.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
All right.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
You can get in there and play solitaire.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alright, let's try to get back to the boss's office this episode.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Number 1 tip for not getting fired is to not get fired.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Let a ball up inside you, don't pass aggressively on other coworkers.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Executive bathroom. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. Time magazine. Pages. Open those.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Right, Stanley didn't know that. Cursor show up sometimes, but not all the time. Can I do something with this?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
There's an achievement for just clicking a bunch of 8s, so I wonder if it's this.
2845. Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in.
What?
And the door just opened
What?
all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, what did he do?
Okay. Oop.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Can we go back up?
Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
That way. Right here.
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow. I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
I get it.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
This guy doesn't. Just sits there and roasts you.
Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Should we go escape? Or should we go into the mind control facility? See what escape does.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Oh, wonderful.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Very interesting. Office computers. Can't turn them off, but I can't turn them back on. Each sound is a mix of keystroke. The office. Credits. Room. Warzone. What? And you were standing in a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would be sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting the build it was far too joking on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpret it as making fun of those who like shooters, which was not our intention. Part of me kind of hopes that that ending's still in this game somewhere. We need an Ultra Deluxe version. The game worse. Ooh, how do I get that to happen? Welcome back, employee 42. The lounge, the office. Previous department ending, a timer will give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone will lead to a different ending. Cargo lift. The second version is functionally the same as what's the final game we wanted to look. So it was actually stored. Risk of staying or jumping to a path. However, this early version had also only the option of player falling to their death. Meeting room. Maintenance layout. Interesting. Back on track. Huh. Zending levers is part of the Zending. The player could pull a lever in the narrow they pulled. Cool if that was still built in. Finish the cut and merge with another part of the game. The game is now paused. Long time I any that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realize this is what they were even supposed to do, which is frustrating for everyone. Absolutely, that would be very frustrating. Freedom ending. This is the freedom as it existed in beta. Count disk. One of the down ending. Alpha. There's so much to explore back here. Holy crap. That says exit. Okay. You can see it says the Stanley Parable through here.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Creepy to laugh, I'm not gonna lie. If I backed up. Oh, boss's office. Boss's office.
They stood on the snow.
Roughly 3 separate times over.
And finally, he pushed the number 6.
Huh.
Then he pushed the number 8.
Okay, so we saw that. So this is the opposite way. Alright, I guess we check out for time in the living room. Could go up or down. We abandoned this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down and placed 2 in. Alright. And then
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
I was very confused. What? Alright. Oh, the lady narrator said the only way you could win is by quitting the game, and that... I mean, yeah, I guess. Alright, so we died once again, but totally fine. Gotta do some fun exploring. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking out the video. Be on the lookout for our next session of the Stanley Parable. We'll see what kind of shenanigans and things that we can get into then. We'll see ya on the next one.